a late-stage republic. We talk about that a lot as far as what we are as a nation. And let me explain a couple things about being a late-stage republic. As we talk about America, it's going to be a great special. We're going to talk about us crumbling a bit. We're going to talk about the other nations who might take over for us at some point in time. But before we get into any of that, allow me to just do this. Maybe as an American, maybe you, like me, and I admit I'm one of these people, maybe you look at what's happening in your country as we begin to falter and fall, and you say to yourself, I'm really bummed, I hate this, I don't want this. That's fine that you feel that way. I'm glad you feel that way. I feel that way. But you should also understand this. It's the year 2023. Okay, what does that mean? When did the country start? 1776. Where does that put us? Almost 250 years, right? About that 250-year mark. You know how long, historically, most significant empires last? 200 to 300 years. That's about what you've got. Now, maybe that doesn't make you feel better at all, but you should know this is how it goes. What I'm about to describe for you, this is how it always goes. You start out and things are good and you have good patriots and great people running the country, and the country has a new idea like we did, the idea of freedom, and everyone loves it and they embrace it and we go all in, and then the country grows and it's ambitious and things are going really well, and things get going so well that you just get so rich and so far removed from your founding that you lose your way. And the people who want to pick at the bones and tear your country down, they don't like that you're number one. People inside your borders and outside of your borders, which we'll talk about a bit tonight, they see an opportunity. They see a population that's fat, complacent, lazy, bored, and just doesn't want to protect the thing they have, and things just start rotting. Slowly but surely, they start rotting. That's all you're seeing here. And now we're probably at the stage where things will pick up in pace a little bit. No, America's not going to fall tomorrow. I'm not doing any of that doomsday stuff. But we're at a place now where we have failed multiple times, and we've failed on the world stage. And that in and of itself, that is the problem. I've been doing a lot of reading lately, we'll get to America in a second, but I've been doing a lot of reading lately on Napoleon and his various conquests and whatnot. And he's one of these historical characters that I have a real love-hate relationship with. He's so fascinating and talented, at the same time just horrible about some things. But one of the things I always find sad about the Napoleon story, every time I read it, is there's this great general and he's conquered so much and all these lands and everyone's scared to death of him. But then towards the end, when he loses a battle here, there, they all just start coming for him. The second they see the king bleed a little bit, they start coming for him. And from there, it was already over. That's what we are right now. Do you remember? You remember Afghanistan? Now, this building up to this moment took a long time. I don't want to act like it was just one singular moment that really brought all this about. That would be a huge oversimplification. But this was the moment the world found out, oh man, we got a late stage republic over here. You see, it's one thing to fail. It's one thing to embarrass yourself. It's another thing to do it publicly. If I go home tonight when I'm done doing the show for you, and I walk in and I'm eating dinner and I'm walking around the house and I accidentally stub my toe, and I stub it so bad I trip and fall and bang my knee on the ground, well, that sucks, right? That's not fun. That hurts. A little bit of humiliating, but not that big of a deal. It's just me at the house, maybe the wife and kids. If I, however, have to go give a speech somewhere in front of 10,000 people, and I do that when I'm walking out on the stage, that's a whole different problem entirely. It's one thing to have some embarrassing things happening within the borders of your nation. It's another thing to have each and every country on the planet look at their television screen and watch you stub your toe and bang your knee and fall flat on your face and embarrass yourself. Afghanistan, the disastrous withdrawal, that was America sending the bat signal to the world that we ain't what we used to be. I told you this back in 2021. You should feel embarrassed on behalf of your nation because we look terrible to the rest of the world right now. There's not a way to put it. This is an international embarrassment. America has been the global superpower for your entire lifetime. It has. We took over that rule right about the end of World War I. That's when we really became top dog. And we've been top dog ever since. That's about 100 years. The world is looking right now, and they're asking, are they still top dog? I mean, this is not what the top dog does. This is what some fading power does. And what happened? After that was done, what happened? Russia goes marching into Ukraine. About 15 minutes after that happened. Now we're mired in a crappy war there. And look, other nations know it. And again, back to the Napoleon thing, this is one of the things I notice every time I read about it, how they just start, they're trying to feel him out, the other nations. And they're trying to figure out, is this the same guy who never loses a battle? Am I about to lose here? And so what they really try to do is they start just poking him in the ribs a little bit. Just kind of like you'd be with like a rabid dog you're trying to get away from. Just kind of poke him with a stick and back away. Is it going to get me? Well, that's what they're doing with us right now. Just trying to feel us out, see what we're made of. Remember when the Chinese sat down just after Joe Biden got elected, sat down in front of the Secretary of State and essentially told him, you ain't running things around here anymore.
So let me say here that in front of the Chinese side, the United States does not have the qualification to say that it wants to speak to China from a position of strength.
How? You don't get to talk to us from a position of strength. And maybe when you watched that clip initially, maybe you were filled with this, wait a minute, yes we do, I know I was. Hey, who do you think you are, China? Maybe we were wrong. Maybe we were wrong. After all, not only did they just fly a spy balloon from coast to coast, from the Pacific to Atlantic here in the United States of America, embarrassingly, the President of the United States met with the press and said he wanted it shot down, but they told me no.
Briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water. I told them to shoot it down.
On Wednesday?
On Wednesday.
But the recommendation
they said to me, let's wait till the safest place to do it.
They said to me? So someone's ordering around the commander-in-chief? That's where we're at now? This guy, Mark Milley, the guy who promised China he'd warn them if we were going to attack?
As part of that conversation, I said, General Lee, there's not going to be a war, there's not going to be attack between great powers. And if there was, the tensions would build up. There'd be calls going back and forth from all kinds of senior officials. I said, hell, General Lee, I'll probably give you a call, but we're not going to attack you. Trust me, we're not going to attack you.
A late-stage republic. And, you know, there are a million examples. I used Napoleon off the bat. Maybe Rome is a really good one, too. Just that you have this gigantic juggernaut superpower who forever could dictate terms to whatever country they felt like dictating terms to. If Rome said jump, you said how high. And then internally they were rotting and rotting and rotting. And this took place over a long period of time. And then eventually these various tribes, from the Huns to the Vandals to all they start picking at the bones and picking at the bones and poking at the ribs and poking at the ribs. And soon what's happened is you've let the world know that the unstoppable, the great juggernaut, isn't really a great juggernaut anymore. The great juggernaut eventually becomes painted rust. And once the world finds out that the great juggernaut is painted rust, you're in a lot of trouble because they remember all those years they weren't number one and they want to come make sure you remember how you treated them. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right.